What's up YouTube? Happy New Year. So we're gonna do a kata application breakdown and actually how to apply it under duress and under stress and things that might happen when you do try to apply it, right? We're gonna look at kind of the same thing you've seen in Naihanchi, this motion here. Also what to do, what you can do with this type of hooking hand. So if I'm throwing a punch here and I'm able to do this, everyone knows, yes, I'm palming the back of the head, I'm throwing my elbow here, but the biggest thing here is having that sensitivity and control over his posture. So he's upright here, but if I just hook my hand around the neck here, I'm actually gonna be able to turn him or peel him this way. When I do that, that's gonna kind of break his posture and it's gonna give me different looks at different abilities to throw elbows at different angles, right? So if I turn him up towards the ceiling, most likely I want to drop. It kind of doesn't make sense for me to try to do this because it kind of messes up the angle of my attack. But if I bring his head down low, then it kind of makes sense to do that. If I do this over the top, he might just pop. He might work or it might slip out of my grip, right? So situationally, you want to keep that in mind.
I would say like just with that turning, so like when Michael's doing this, when he's turning me down, he's also using like his structure to help turn me down, right? It's not just, you're not gonna get it with just your arm. Like if he's just using his arm to try to turn me down, it's not gonna happen, right? So he has to flex, use his body to help turn me around. So you have to be just as mobile as you need to. The stronger the neck or the stronger the torso of your opponent, the more body English you're gonna have to use in order to make that adjustment, that hooking hand work. If all I'm doing is holding onto the back of his head and there's nothing here, this is how people get duck unders and all this kind of jazz, right? And I want to make that really difficult for my opponent. It also doesn't do a clamp, right? So we talk about a lot of times occupying the center, anchoring, dead weight, and all that kind of stuff. So if I'm just here and I'm kind of trying to dead weight on him, it doesn't really work all that well because he still has all this kind of movement, right? So once I've hooked, I'm trying to reach as far as I can on the opposite side of his neck so I can pull with my fingers here, and this starts to drive in. So I'm pulling down and I'm driving in at the same time, right? And that's, again, like that's not all that I'm doing. If I'm trying to get him to rotate, look up, I'm gonna flex this way to make him come up and then turn over. If I'm gonna point him down the other way, I'm gonna turn, right? I'm gonna shift my body out so that there's more weight here, and then I can come over the top or something like that, right? So, yeah, that's really important. So you have to not just hang, but you have to hang and then pull and flex in. So your body, using your body as like as a weight to kind of balance in and out, lean in and out of your opponent on this arm is really important to make this technique work.
The elbow can also be used as a pivot point, right? So what's cool about this, if you just think about your arm as just one solid piece, then you're kind of missing a third extension here that can actually manipulate him around. So if I start applying all this tension, I do feel him start coming into me. My fingers pointing down allows me to come around, right? It's hard for me to do that if I'm doing this and he comes into me and I'm gonna have to like readjust, come off to the side. This extra bend in my structure allows me to just swim around. And that happens a lot too if I want to get an underhook on him, right? So I'll do it on this side. Let's say he throws a strike with here and I block and I'm allowed to just swivel underneath. And again, I go right back to that hook that we were just at, right? So this thing here, it kind of locks him in place. I can even put my palm there and reinforce it with my own palm. There's a lot of different grips here too, just to make sure his posture stays down. So this thing kind of cuts in and allows me to rotate him and steer him too. Of course, you got your knees and everything from there.
It's just getting comfortable with not always trying to move your opponent, but also moving your body around your opponent, right? Like Michael was saying, if you think about this whole entire structure, the various points as different pivot points, it lets you do a lot more. Right? So for instance, if Michael gets that same grip on me, right, and he's trying to manipulate me as much as he can, and maybe I'm just really strong and I start going for a single or something like that, he can use this to shove me down in a way to keep his balance and then push back up and out of it, right? So it's also like a useful tool for redirecting your opponent when you're not getting exactly what you want.
So you've seen this drill on this side of the neck, but you can apply that same drill on the other side of the neck like we're talking, right? So if one person holds the structure here, the other person tries to move around and you just try to maintain that structure and kind of steer the head, we all heard control the head, control the body. This is kind of what I'm doing here too. And now, instead of just controlling his head as his upper shoulder and his head, I can control the neck too and turn him over. That's gonna be a lot more efficient. I'm sure you guys seen this where they reach over the top and do the chin strap too, right? So there's a lot of options from there if you give access to the chin. Another drill you can try, maintaining the structure while he's throwing strikes at you, right? So you're gonna notice that if you control one arm, that means this elbow becomes a deflector as well, right? So if I control here and he starts throwing strikes, I can do that, bring it right back down. Or I can do that, he does it again, there's my swim under, and there's my hook again, right? So keep that in mind. I think that's pretty much it. Those are a lot of things for you to play with just the basic Naihanchi Shodan motion, just adding a little bend into the grip, and that's gonna allow you to have a lot more options to